All right, let's talk about something that's absolutely critical in the world of high stakes finance. How do you figure out what heavy equipment is really worth? Today, we're going to break it all down. So let's just dive right in. Picture this: you're a loan officer. A $10 million loan application for a whole fleet of construction equipment lands on your desk. The paperwork, it looks great. But your job is to figure out the real story. What is that collateral actually worth, and what's the risk hiding behind those numbers? Think of this explainer as your own personal, confidential memo. It's a guide to help you start thinking like a professional valuer. We're going to pull back the curtain on how to assess the kind of machinery that's securing your loan so you can make the absolute best decision. Okay, first things first, you got to understand that a valuer never just, picks a number out of a hat. They look at an asset through three totally different lenses to get a complete picture of its value. And what's so cool about this is that each approach asks a fundamentally different question. The cost approach asks, what's the replacement cost? The income approach asks, how much money can it make? But for our fleet of trucks and excavators, the market approach is king. It answers the most important practical question of all. What are people paying for this stuff right now? Now, behind all of this is a really important principle called highest and best use. It's basically a big reality check. It forces us to value an asset based on its most logical, most profitable potential, not just how it's being used at this very moment. And these four tests are how you figure that out. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine an empty plot of land right in the middle of a busy city. Sure, you could plant a garden there. It's legal, it's possible. But is that its highest and best use? No way. Building a skyscraper passes all four tests. It's legally allowed, physically possible, financially doable, and it's going to generate the most value. That's the mindset. Okay, so knowing the market price is a great start, but that's only part of the story. To get to the current value, we have to talk about how things lose value over time. And check this out. This visual really shows you that the method you use for depreciation makes a huge difference. The straight line method, well, it spreads that loss in value out nice and evenly. But the reducing balance method, that's more aggressive right at the beginning, which honestly is more realistic for a lot of machines that lose a big chunk of value the second they're put to work. The on-paper value can look totally different based on that choice. But here's the thing, value doesn't just disappear because of wear and tear. A machine can suffer from functional obsolescence. That means the machine itself is just outdated, old tech, but it can also get hit with economic obsolescence. That's when the world around it changes. Think about new environmental regulations that suddenly make older, less efficient trucks way less valuable. All right, if you're a loan officer, this is where it all comes together. This is where the rubber meets the road. All these big ideas, they boil down to a couple of key numbers that define your best case and your worst case scenario. This is probably the single most important slide for assessing your risk. Market value. That's your good day number. It's what the fleet is worth in a normal sale with no pressure. But forced sale value? That's your bad day number. It's the fire sale price you'd get if there's a default and you have to liquidate everything fast. The difference between those two numbers? That's your risk. Here's another trap you have to avoid. Don't ever confuse book value with real-world value. Book value is just an accounting number. It's history, original cost minus some depreciation formula. Going concern value, on the other hand, is about the future. It's the value of that asset as part of a living, breathing, money-making business. They are not the same thing. And remember, this whole valuation thing isn't just for the loan. It's absolutely vital for insurance. If something terrible happens to that fleet, you need to know the reinstatement value, what it would actually cost to replace everything, to make sure your collateral is properly protected. Okay, enough theory, let's make this super practical. Here is an actionable checklist you can use the very next time a valuation report hits your desk. Seriously, don't just flip to the back page to see the final number. That's a rookie mistake. To really get a handle on the risk, you need to read the report with a critical eye. If you follow these 4 steps, you'll be able to really understand and even challenge the findings. First up, asset identification. Is the stuff in the report the exact same stuff that's listed as collateral for the loan? You have to check everything: make, model, serial number, and definitely look at the photos to see the condition. A small mix-up here can lead to a huge difference in value. Next, you need to look for the proof. A really solid valuation is never just one person's opinion. The report should be backed up by multiple, real-world data sources. Things like recent auction sales, quotes from dealers, what similar stuff is listed for online. That's what gives the final number its credibility. All right, here's a pro tip. Always read the executive summary first. A good valuer knows you're busy. This section is designed to give you the whole story in a nutshell: what they looked at, how they did it, the key assumptions they made, and the final number. It's your roadmap for the entire report. So, what happened with that $10 million loan application we started with? Well, after applying the market approach, thinking about depreciation, and checking all the data, the valuer landed on a market value of $7,850,000. Yeah, a pretty significant gap from what was requested. And that leaves us with the million-dollar question. Well, in this case, the $10 million question, the one that only you can answer. Now that you understand the story behind the number, you can make a truly informed decision. Is the risk acceptable? That's the power you get when you think like a valuer.